Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, WIZE.
And welcome to another episode of I Am Your Host, WIZE. And I have a real special guest today. She actually is, because I've known her for quite some time. I'm not going to give away I've always talked about how old I am, but we've known each other a very, very long time. All the way back to high school. This is actually, you're the third high school classmate I've had on the show. But welcome to the show, Ilsy Hoo. What's going on?
Hi. Oh my gosh, we go so way back.
Yes, we do.
Yes. I don't want to age myself, but I have to say we definitely had some good times with all our friends back in high school. The simpler days, let's put it that way. A lot simpler.
Yes, it was. It was a much easier time for us. But anyway, I'm glad you're on the show. We didn't plan this, people. We didn't plan this. We didn't call each other and say, hey, I'm wearing orange, so you got to wear orange. This just happened.
We're there. We're still there.
Yeah. So, listen, you got some amazing stuff that you're doing, man. You're writing for some big time magazines. I see you're involved with Miss America and all that. And let's start with the writing. Like, you're doing a lot of things.
Yeah, so I actually used to write for a national magazine, just in its a beauty and just all about well-being and everything like that. So it's called Bella Magazine. So I used to write for them for several years. And I used to write about relationships and all about relationships. And that's because after my divorce, I had to get back into the dating pool. And I found out that relationships were not the way they used to be when we were growing up. So it was a lot more complicated. So I had like funny stories to share and just some really good things to talk about when navigating the dating scene all over again. And then I stopped doing that for a while because I got more involved in my own business about empowering entrepreneurs and how to help them elevate their brand, their business brand, and personal brand. And then I decided to compete in a beauty pageant, which was nothing that I ever thought that I would ever do in my life, because I'm just not that type of personality, but it was heavily focused around giving back to your community. So I decided to go for it. And then I won. So that was amazing, winning the title of Miss New Jersey for America Strong. And then I was asked to run the pageant system for New Jersey. And that's where I am right now. So it's just been a lot of things going on since back when we were in high school. A lot of great accomplishments, but it's definitely just been a crazy ride, and I love every moment of it.
Definitely. And for me, you know what? Honestly, for me, I'm just hitting my peak. I'm not even there yet. I'm just hitting my stride. And I guess that saying about men don't really start seeing true success until their 40s or whatever it is. And it's just the last couple of years with me doing the podcast, starting my own production company, launching an internet radio station. It's like it's just an amazing feeling. Like, because I've never really. This isn't what I envisioned for myself. This wasn't part of the plan. But when I found out that I had a voice and I found out I enjoyed podcasting, I'm like, man, this is something I really want to start taking more serious. And I really started investing more time into it, investing in better equipment, and just started talking to some entrepreneurs, authors, coaches. And it just started snowballing. Things just started falling into place, and it's been a great ride these last 2 years.
That's awesome. Well, I think also because you and I are pretty much the same age, And what I found is that as you get older, you become more aware of the things that you really want to do. And that's from experience, that's from things that didn't work out, especially disappointments, just life happens. So then you always kind of like reinventing yourself. So when you're in your 20s, you're having a good time, you think you're grown, but you're not really that grown, but you're still having a good time. In your 30s, you're like, okay, I thought I was growing in my 20s, but now I have to take life a little bit more seriously, where I'm still kind of navigating it. And then when you're in your 40s, you're like, a lot of stuff happened this last 20 years since I was in my 20s. We lived pandemics. We've lived, people in our family passing away. We live either being laid off at some point in our career, or getting promotions, or having family issues or health issues. So then you really take things in perspective of, okay, what's important? What is it that I want to do for the rest of my life in order to make sure that I'm happy and fulfilled? And, we talk about, like, in today's news, they talk about the great resignation. This is the year of the great resignation, where everyone is really taking a pause and like, do I really want to go back to my full-time job? Should I be looking for someplace else that's going to make me more money? Or should I just continue to settle for something that I'm not happy with? And there are people who are becoming bloggers, podcasters, YouTubers, entrepreneurs, and taking a pause and be like, you know what? I don't want to work for a Fortune 500 company anymore because I don't feel valued. I want to work for myself because I now have the wisdom to be successful, because I've learned so much within the last 20 years in order to have my own business or do something else. So it's a matter of like just us maturing and really just honing in, like, what is it that's going to make us happy? And because we're not going to settle anymore. It's funny too, because like even in relationships, how many friends, or let's say you're in a new relationship and you're like, I just don't have the patience for that person. I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to hear it. Like we get at a point of like, you know what? I'm done. Like, you want to have issues? Goodbye. We don't want to work on them or working on fixing anything. And that's something that is happening with people when it comes to their careers and really navigating what they want to do going forward. So with this whole pageant system thing, it's kind of evolved to something a lot bigger than I thought it would be. And it's really revolved around helping other women find their passion and just really have an avenue to give back to their community, or develop their public speaking skills or presentation skills, or just whatever they get out of it. I am just giving them a platform to be able to do that. So it's an exciting time. I can't wait until we hit our 50s and we figure out, all right, what else is going on? What's going to happen?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what I'm doing. I want to be the voice for the people. And to me, it's just not, let's get this straight. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Entrepreneurship is hard. It's dedication, a lot of hard work. You're actually going to work harder being an entrepreneur than you would at a regular job. But the self-worth and just the excitement, and just when you accomplish something, it's even more rewarding when it's your business that's growing and developing, and I wouldn't want to change that for the world. So my ultimate goal is to leave my 9 to 5, which is actually 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. But it's just not. It's not, and it's an easy job, but I'm tired of punching a time clock. I'm tired of not being valued at what I know I'm worth. And the company will replace you in a heartbeat. Like if you die today, they have someone else tomorrow to replace you. So I just felt like, listen, this is the time for me to, when I got furloughed from work in 2020, I already had podcasting equipment, and I just decided to press record finally. Because prior to that, I was just making excuses.
Yeah.
I was, who's going to want to listen to me? I sound horrible. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to do? And finally, one day I'm sitting here with my nephew and I'm holding the mic. He's on the phone. I have my setup and everything. And I just press record, and I'm holding the mic to the phone because I don't have the jack that goes to the mixer. So I'm holding the phone to the mic, and he's talking, and we're talking, and it was a little 5-minute conversation just to introduce the podcast. And he was like, "Yo, we can't release that." I'm like, "Why not?" He says, "Because we need to get better." I said, "No, I want people to see the growth. I want people to see where we started at, where we didn't have the best equipment, to where we're at now, where we've invested in ourselves and decided that this is what we're going to do and take it to the next level."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just growth, and it's trial and error. I know that, there's people that want to just say, I just want to quit my job and, do my passion. One thing that I always say to people who think about doing that is just really make sure that you're going to fail in the beginning of your business. There's going to be failures. In the article that I was just in, I was interviewed by medium.com recently. And one of the things that I pointed out is that you got to be prepared to lose money in the beginning, because there's going to be so much investment in marketing, even business cards, write-ups. There's just so much money invested in that. So you have to make sure you're prepared for that. And then you have to also seek out people that have been successful in industry that you plan to be in, because whatever challenges they faced, they already faced it already. But you want to make sure that you are educated in how to navigate those challenges. So you have to reach out to people that are in the same industry. And then you also have to be realistic. You got to be realistic with your time, because it isn't a 9-to-5 job to be an entrepreneur. Like, I have a regular job. I'm in sales for a Fortune 500 company. And so there's times that I have to be on the road for something for my regular job. But then the pageant business that I have, I might be doing late at night or on a Sunday. So you got to make sure you set expectations with yourself and your family before you make that jump. And also, if you're ever unhappy with the job, your 9-to-5 job, think about the good things that you get out of it that helps you prepare to be successful as an entrepreneur. So, I've been in corporate America for about 20 years, let's say, about 20 something years. And there wasn't always opportunities for me to grow within corporate America. I've always had to raise my hand and say, oh, I want to work on this project, or I want this special training that's given to a director, but since I'm not a director, can I be included? Because those are skills that you learn in corporate America that I actually have implemented in being an entrepreneur and doing the things that I am today. So if your job you're not fulfilled by your job, look at other things within that company that you might be able to develop your skills in order to be successful in your own business or whatever you're doing past when you leave that company. So you always have to make opportunities for yourself to grow. Sometimes you just got to be creative, because no one's ever going to give you anything, nor does anybody owe you anything. So it's just a matter of you taking charge of your own life and to set up yourself for success.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. And you have to surround yourself with people that have the same vision that you have, that are similar in your thought process. And that's been what I've actually been attracting, is my people into my circle that have the same vision that I have, are positive, are helping me become a better person by not criticizing me, but by giving me constructive criticism. Like, hey, listen, do this, it will help you out. And I'm like, okay, good, yeah. And it's been, and when I first started, I didn't have anybody. I didn't know anyone in the industry. I didn't know anyone that was podcasting. Everything I've learned, I started myself. I've learned how to edit podcasts. I learned how to video edit. These are things that I wanted to learn because I wanted my podcast to be the best that I could make it. And so I just started researching, learning, taking courses. I'm still taking courses to this day. I'm still learning every day. But it was me wanting, when I got furloughed from work and I was making that extra money that they were giving out, people would go and probably spend it on clothing, Jordans,
Right.
other stuff. I was spending it on better equipment, taking courses, things to help me improve and grow and develop as a podcaster, and taking some business courses to help me work on building my business. And it's slowly growing, slowly. So I got a couple of clients now that I'm helping work on their podcast.
That's awesome.
I've released a little inspirational, a little ebook on some quotes that I really enjoy, and I think people might take something from it. I helped my nephew publish his book, and it's just been, like I said, it's been a snowball. It's just been going and growing and growing and growing, but it takes time. We've been at it for 2 years, and we haven't made real money, but just the fact that we're enjoying what we're doing and we're seeing progress, it just motivates us more to really keep going at it.
You definitely have to keep going at it. And you have to be patient with money. When it comes to generating money, that all comes into play at some point. And it's just a part of business and growth. The more that you network with other people and you start helping other people, people will start saying, oh, you need to network with this person. And, that's how money starts growing. That's how you start developing, a price point of what you should be, charging people to be on your, you have to show value first in order for people to want to pay you. And that's all takes time, obviously. So I just, I commend you for, taking this leap and doing something that you're really passionate about, because what you're doing is helping other people. And, if you aspire 2 people at one podcast, that's amazing.
One person. I'm happy if one person.
One person.
It's funny. No, it's funny because
I'm an
I had Jason Scalar. I had Jason Scalar on, and he actually went to South Shore with us, and he's killing the real estate market in Brooklyn. And I'm always sharing his stuff, and he came on the show, and we had a great conversation. We talked about manifestation, setting our goals, everything that we were doing. And we had another classmate of ours. She reached out to me and she said, listening to that episode of you and Jason together, it motivated me to, because she had been on the fence about starting her own business. And when she heard us talk, she was like, yo, these are 2 guys I grew up with. These are 2 guys I know personally. And they're doing the things that they're doing. Why can't I do it?
Yeah.
And when she told me that, I was like, wow. And that just made me feel like, okay, I'm doing something. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on, especially if I'm able to help anyone in any situation. That if any of my episodes helps anyone be like, yo, that's me, that's my problem, and they can help them, I'm more than happy. Like I said, if it's one person that takes from it,
yeah,
I'm ecstatic.
That's great. Well, there's always going to be people that's going to try to prevent you from succeeding. So anybody who's watching, and I'm very transparent for, about my life. So before we went to South Shore High School, where, we met, I went to another high school in Manhattan. And my freshman year in high school, I had a teacher come up to me and told me that I would never amount to anything because I was Hispanic. Now, imagine yourself a freshman, I was about 15 years old. Now that was my son's age. My son is 15. And I can't imagine a teacher coming up to him and saying that you will never amount to anything because you're Hispanic. For me, he probably would be like, why would that happen? He would be devastated. So, that time I was just like, what is going on? Why am I being told this? And that fueled me throughout my years of my career or my life, because there was always obstacles where someone told me that I couldn't do something because I was too short. I am 5 feet tall.
I didn't want to bring up the shortness part.
Yeah, I am only 5 feet tall. I'm only 5 feet tall, but I've been told because I was too short, I couldn't do acting because I was too short. I couldn't do this because I'm Hispanic, or whatever the case may be. There was always some sort of obstacle where someone's tried to put on me and say, you couldn't do something. So they've always fueled me to say, well, okay, I am going to do it because I know I'm capable. And it's not really to get back at someone. is because I didn't want that noise to affect where my goal was supposed to be. Where God wants me to go, it was meant to be. I'm not going to be like, listen to like the chatter on the end, because we're always going to have haters. That's for sure. So, you know, for people who always feel like they have self-doubt because they're being told you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or you can't do this, you got to let that noise go away. You got to block out that noise, because there's a lot of successful people in this world that reinvented themselves in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, who's been told no, who's been told that they are not meant to be anybody. And they just said, you know what, I'm not going to listen to it. And I'm just going to keep pushing forward, because they have good intentions of what they wanted to do. So it's just, you know, for anyone who's watching, like really just, you gotta like have some self-reflection and understand that whoever's saying no to you and being negative towards you is because they don't have the courage to do the things that you're trying to do. And they're just hating on you. That's all it is. They're just hating on you. You gotta keep focused.
I keep that noise out. Like I really don't. People who talk that smack, like, oh, how's your podcast going? Like they say it in a way that it's kind of something. I'm like, it's fine. It's going good. No complaints. And I'm sure they're in their mind like, oh man, how is he doing? So, and to me, I don't let it bother me. I keep that noise. I actually like try to stay away from people like that. And because me being the person that I am, I feed off of people's energy. So when someone is throwing negative energy at me, I kind of give it back to them. And I don't like when I do that, even though they kind of deserve, but it's still not me. I don't feel like it. So I try to not associate with people like that. And for the most part, my circle is not the greatest, it's not big, but there's some amazing people. Like my wife, she's very supportive. She could have easily been like, dude, you're 40 something years old. You're going to start a what? A podcast. But she was like, no, she saw that I was passionate about it. She saw that I was really into it, that I really loved doing it. And she backed me 100%. She actually helped me start my business. She helped me. She got the paperwork and all that and helped me launch our production company.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So to have someone have my back that way is just, it's great to have. It's just like, wow, someone who believes in you. And because again, some other girl could have been like, dude, you're too old to be starting this stuff.
Right.
Go don't focus on your job. Don't focus on that. Do something else.
Or are they going to be like, oh, who do you think you are? Like Nick Cannon or something?
Like,
the man.
Yeah, I'm trying to build a media corporation. I'm trying to be a media mogul. I'm not.
I want his manager. I want Nick Cannon's manager and publicist, because he gets every job. I'm still trying to figure out like what's his talent.
He's got motivate. He's got
motivated.
Drive. He has drive. He knows what he wants, and he goes out and get it. So I don't as much as people knock him and stuff.
Yeah,
he's out there he's doing what he loves to do.
Yeah, he is. He's actually he's an example of a great entrepreneur that probably has been told you can't do something. Because I remember following his career in the beginning, and I was like, wait, does he sing, or is he in TV? And I'm like, wait, he doesn't sing. Like, how did he show up? Like, where did he come from? But he had that drive. He wanted to be on TV, and he wanted to host TV shows, and he wanted to do these things and make a name for himself. And that's how it worked for him, because it's his personality. So it's like, you know, it's just, I really do want his manager. I wish I had his manager. His manager must be amazing, because his manager hooked him up. But anyway, I digress. I just think that, you know, having that support system as well is really important. And I've had some amazing people in my life that really supported me throughout my crazy journey, because every year is always something new with me. It's always something crazy. My kids have been very supportive. They're at a point where it's like, I tell them something and they're like, all right, mom, because to them is just nothing surprises them anymore, what journey I'm on. But it's life worth living. You know, it's an exciting life, and there's opportunities why be complacent? Just like, if you have the drive to be better and help people and go after your dreams, definitely do it. Do it now more than ever, because everything is slowed down because of this Omicron, first of all.
Yeah.
You know, like,
But right now's the time. Yeah,
and
right
now
now's the
is
time
the
to do it.
time.
Yeah.
People are really thinking about what they want to do with themselves. And that's why we are at this point where we're at the great resignation, where people are just not going back to work or saying, I resign because I need time to reflect on what I want to do that's going to make me happy, what's best for my family. So it's a good time, as much as crazy as it is, and we're wearing masks, we're getting shots, we're getting boosters, we're getting whatever, we're eating gummy bears, who the hell knows what's happening these days. It's a good time to pause and reflect on what you want to do with yourself and your life, and go after your dreams. The opportunities are so endless out there right now.
It's not like when we were growing up. It's definitely not. It's not like when we were growing up. There's so much, especially with the way the internet is, there's so much opportunities for people out there.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, you know what? This is like, I felt once I started recording and I got behind the mic, I fell in love with it. It was just something like I said, I didn't know I had a voice. I didn't know, like, everybody always said, oh, you got a deep voice and whatever. But then when I started the podcast, people were like, yo, you really do have a radio voice. You have a voice meant for radio. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And it kind of helped me with my confidence. Cause like I said, you don't sound good to yourself. You always sound weird. Yeah. So, but when enough people keep saying it, it's gotta be true. So it just kind of built up my confidence. And the more, every time I get behind the mic and I start recording, like, I didn't really start doing video until September of last year. I had always been just audio. And then I got a couple that were branding specialists and strategists and all that. And we were talking, they're like, so you don't do video? I said, no, I'm going to transition to video. And they're like, so you don't do video? I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Record. I do video now. And they said, see, that's what's good. It says you're coachable. That's what it takes, is for you to want to learn and grow and be coachable and be able to take advice from people and not feel offended.
Right.
So when they said you don't do video, I'm like, now I do. So that was just the beginning of now me getting more comfortable doing video. Because even though I've always used StreamYard to do my interviews, I just didn't record the video aspect of it, just strictly audio. But now I'm like, I'm already recording. I'm already sitting here talking to these people. Might as well just do the video.
Yeah. Yeah. I think video is amazing. I think it's amazing. And you do have a radio voice. So I've done a few interviews. I've been on like iHeartRadio for a women's podcast. I've been on other interviews where I've been recorded. I have never listened to the replay of myself because I hate the sound of my voice. Like this interview, I won't listen to it. I'll post it and I'll promote it and everything, but I won't listen to it.
Yeah, but I need you to watch it, even with the sound off. And if you have to like have the scream in them.
Yes, the sound will be off. I'll just make sure the quality looks good and my hair was right. But other than that,
no, you look great. You look great. Don't worry about it. You look great.
It's too funny.
But see, I have like we have a lot of mutual friends that I still like. Me and JB, that's my brother for life. Me and him always talk. We always like together and all that when we have a chance. Because I'm in PA now, he's in Jersey, but that's my, like, we might not speak to each other for a few months, and then I'll call him out of blue, and it's just like nothing, or he'll call me, and it's just like we just spoke the other day.
Yeah.
And those are the relationships I'm always going to cherish, and they're always going to be there, even though we're on different paths right now. That's always my brother. He's always going to be my brother, and got nothing but love for him. But now like I said, it's once I flipped the switch on my mindset and what I wanted, I've started attracting those people into my life. I've had people come help me do just this. The podcasting community is amazing. Like, they support you more. You would be surprised. You would think your friends and family will support what you do, but this podcast community, they support each other,
Yeah.
especially the independent ones. That I've made some amazing connections, built some great relationships that now they're referring me to, like you said, when you start networking and they start like, hey, listen, I want you to meet this person. I think you guys will work well together. And just the fact that they're willing to make the introduction, that shows a lot. That means a lot to me, because that means they have confidence in me. They believe in me, and they're introducing me to this person. That's big. That's like, wow, like
It's huge. Yeah.
yeah, that just makes me again just want to grind and keep going at it.
Yeah. Well, they also understand your journey, because either they're going through the same journey or they've been through that journey. So you're always going to get people that within the same industry that's going to want to support you more, as opposed to someone who doesn't understand. And it's not that, and I tell people this, it's not that your family and friends may not support you. They just may not understand the process. And so you got to give them the benefit of doubt that they're happy for you, but they just don't understand the process, or they may not want to understand the process. They're just happy with being happy with you. And I've gotten that with everything that I've done throughout my life. There's people that I know that are going to be my biggest cheerleaders. And there's people that I know that are just happy for me, even though they have no clue what I'm doing. Like my parents kind of get an idea of what I do with my business, but they kind of don't, but they're just happy that I'm happy. But they really don't get it. So it's like they don't like repost things that I do, or say, hey, my daughter's doing this. It's only because they don't understand fully what I'm doing, but doesn't mean that they care any less. So I do have mainly people that I know just through Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, whatever the case may be, or LinkedIn, that might say, oh, I'm so happy for you. I get it, what you're doing. I've never met these people in my life. Never met them. It's not like we go to each other's houses or we call each other on the phone, like, hey, what's going on? No, it's because they actually been through that journey that I'm going through, or are already done it already, and they want to help you out. And those are the people that you need to continuously network with, because you may never meet them in person, but they may be that person that hooks you up with an opportunity down the road. And so as an entrepreneur, and I consider myself somewhat fearless in this type of environment and just in general, don't hesitate to reach out to people that you've never met and ask for their advice or some sort of support, because you never know what that person might say to you. The worst thing that could happen,
They can say no. That's it.
no.
That's the worst thing. And
You're not lying,
I've reached
right?
out to people that I'm like, you know what? Let me just send them a message, and they're like, "What's up?" And they reply, and we communicate. Like I've been able to, like I made like I had somebody on my own podcast. She's from Jersey. She has her own vodka, and now she's starting some other spirits that she's selling. She linked me to someone else, and that person linked me to an actor that I really. The Warriors is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mm.
And when I got to interview one of the actors from that movie, it was crazy, because this is someone I grew up watching, and I'm like, oh man. So when I got to interview him, it was like I was a big fanboy, but at the same time, I have to be as professional as I can be and do my podcast. But I let him know, like, yo, listen, I'm a big fan. I grew up watching you. I'm so happy that you're here. And it was a great show. And it's situations like that where you build relationships with people, and they see that what kind of person you are. They're like, you know what? Here you go. And I've made some great connections. I've had celebrities on. I've had all types of people on, and just the relationships I'm getting from them. Again, is I can't emphasize them. The just the people who just are willing to when you like with me, I just try to be me. I don't try to be someone I'm not. I don't try to. I just be me. I'm you know me. I've always been laid back. I'm not a rah guy. So this is kind of like a surprise to me that I'm able to do this because I've never really been that boisterous guy, that guy that just wants attention.
Yeah.
I've always been just laid back. And I just when I do my show, I'm just me. I have conversations. I don't structure it. I don't like. I just want to have them come on and be comfortable.
Yeah.
Just come on. Yeah, we were here to promote your book and everything, but I also want my listeners to get to know you. I want them to see that you're a real person. I don't want you to just come on and spew whatever you're promoting. I want them to just also like really realize that you're a person and you have some stories to share. And I've had some great people.
That's awesome. Well, you're going to be excelling in what you're doing, and you're doing an amazing job. And as a person who knows you for a very long time, and I mean, we stay connected, thank God for Facebook, that's for sure. Because I love seeing, people having their families and their kids and their marriages and just great achievements. Thank goodness for Facebook for having that. But, it's just, I smile when I see my old friends doing really well. I do generally smile. And we all grew up in a time where it was simpler, but we had our things going on back in high school, the craziness. But it's good to see that everyone is doing well. And it makes me happy to see that people are pursuing their passions and just raising families and just enjoying their life. Because it's, they say life is too short, which it is. Life is too short, but it's how you live it is what counts. And so, for anyone who's watching, definitely live your life. Be just be fearless at times. It's okay. Ask questions, ask for help. It's okay. Worst thing that happens, someone says no to you, but you're not going to die. You got a better chance of dying from Omicron these days.
I laugh because I'm just recovering from COVID. I just had COVID over the holiday season.
It's a hot mess. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, no, it was like Christmas Day. I was not feeling well. And the next day we went to urgent care and we sat there for 3 hours just for the doctor to see me. And then and it was just one provider available. And I got there about 12. I didn't leave there till like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And she still had like another 50 patients after me.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And now at my job, we're losing dealers like crazy because they're getting infected. Actually, a coworker of mine tested positive today. He was actually at work yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
He was actually at work yesterday feeling real sick. And they couldn't get him out because we didn't have enough dealers to get him out on an early out. And he really couldn't afford to go home because he would have got fired for another point.
Yeah.
And today he tested positive. And it's just going around rampant up here, especially here. It's just...
It's really bad. I think we're going to get past this month and maybe the middle of February, things will start to level out because they're seeing a decrease in numbers. I think just from the holidays and everything being together and all this other stuff, it's got to work through our immune systems. And I am not a medical professional. So whoever's listening, I'm not a medical professional. This is just my observation and I guess my faith in being hopeful that it's going to leave at some point. Because we all want life to go back to normal.
It's not though. It's never going to be the same. It's always, but we have to adapt, and that's what it is. That's what life is you adapt to circumstances, you adapt to your surroundings. Like, okay, when I was 31, I lost my wife in a car accident, but it's crazy because she had prepared me in a way, because she's the one who introduced me into self-development, into reading Tony Robbins, into reading all these other books and stuff like that. And so when she passed, I was kind of lost for a while. Because then right after that, I reunited with my dad and lost him. So for a few years, it was just dark. I was in a dark place. I was very self-destructive, abusing alcohol, not really taking care of myself. And finally, one day I woke up, I kind of like was like, yo, I need to change my life. And once I started changing it, JB started getting me work as a bouncer and doing security and all that. I met my wife now, and she helped me get back on that path. She helped me get back on the path of wanting more. Because one of the first things she said when we got together, she's like, you have a passport? And I'm like, no. She says, well, you need to get one because we're going to be traveling. We're going to go around. And that to me was like, oh shit, I think I love this girl. Because no woman has ever said that to me. Like no one has ever said that. Like, yo, you have a passport? No, well, we need to get you one because I have plans for us. We're gonna do.
What is your wife's name again?
Oh, she's your middle name.
Oh, see, that's why I like her so much.
Yes, your middle name is her first name.
Yeah. She's good people.
Yeah.
I like her.
But, so it's just been I've been blessed to have her in my life and have her help me build help me see my dream through.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, she's good people. Don't ever get rid of her. She's awesome.
Oh no, she can be a pain in the butt, but and the thing is, I could talk about it because she doesn't watch or listen to my podcast. She'll download them and stuff like that, but she won't listen to them. She's like, I talk to you every day. I hear your voice every day. But she's my number one fan. She'll wear my merch. She'll at work she has my hat, like my hat on, or she'll have a t-shirt on, so she's always supported.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think your wife and I have similar personalities. So I'm like that with Mike. Like he'll talk about things and stuff, and I kind of zone him out, and he knows it. But I support him. I support everything that he does, but I totally zone him out all the time. I'm like, all right, whatever. But there's love. There's love.
Listen, I know I know, just as, like I said, she could have easily been like, Negro, please, what you want to do? You want to do a podcast? Please get out of here with that. She could have easily, because there's women that be like that are like that, like they'll crush a man's dream quickly.
Yeah.
But not her. She's like, no, she saw the passion in me. So why burn that passion out? Like, no, she stoked the flames. She started like stoking the flames even more. So I'm blessed, man. I am blessed to have the support that I have, to have the friends that I have. And it's crazy because a lot of my friends I've had probably more than 20 plus years.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not just one or two friends. This a group of friends that I have that I communicate regularly with, like a couple of months, every few months or whatever, that I've known probably more than 20 years. And that to me, that just feels like that's just the person I am, just the relationships that I build and the way I treat people. I treat people with the utmost respect, always. I don't disrespect anyone until they show me lack of respect. But for the most part, I get along with everyone. My wife calls me the mayor whenever we go out. I'm always saying hi to somebody. She's like, where you know him? Oh, I know him from work. Or I know him from here. Or I know him from there.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that's like social skills that we develop from growing up too. Because we didn't have like all this social media. We didn't have an internet for a long time. Remember that?
We had to actually interact with each other outside.
So you met your friends outside and you hung out for hours. And then depending how old you were, you had to be home at a certain time. Or if you're older, then you just stood out. we didn't have internet or sending emails or all this other stuff. I mean, we had like beepers and, you do like the stupid
The
three,
hello.
whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 51. Oh, I know that's what's her name or his
Yeah.
name, like random stupidness. But we actually had to socialize with people. So you just learn how to get along with people. You learn how to communicate and ask questions and stuff like that. So it's interesting because, we come in a generation now where we see it's all online and it's all, I'll be out with my kids and there'll be other kids and they'll decide whether they want to talk to them or not. I'm like, why don't you just talk to him? No, I'm good. Whereas when we were growing up, we've been like, hey, what's going on? How you doing?
New
Like,
friend, look, a new friend. Yeah,
like we're trying to look for some
look, a
people.
new friend. Let me go over there and introduce myself. Yeah.
Exactly. Like we got like 10 people in our crew. Now you might be able to have 11 people in our crew. It's just a different mindset now. So it's funny when, people say, oh, like, how do you know this person? Or, you're so friendly. I says, well, that's how I was raised up. You're like, we socialize all the time. If you're home by yourself, we would be like, something wrong with you? Like, are you okay? Like, you got to be out and about. So it's just a different mindset. But I think that it's benefiting us at this age to do things like this. Younger generations, they're very technology savvy. They're the ones that are YouTubers buying NFTs, making millions of dollars off of Bitcoin because they invested when they were like 18 and now they're like multimillionaires. I get it. I didn't give them credit because I should have bought Bitcoin when it first came out 10 years ago. But
that's not something we learned. That's not something we was raised. That's not what we were raised on. We were not raised. We were not raised to invest. We were not taught to invest. We were not taught that, hey, you can be your own business owner. We were taught, go get a job,
right?
Work at that job 30, 40 years, retire, get your pension, and that's it.
Exactly.
We weren't, especially from where we're from. We're from East New York, Brooklyn. That's not something we were raised on.
No. And if you had extra cash, you put it in an envelope and you put it in your drawer or something like that. Or you save, like if you want something, you just take money and then you put it like in an envelope and then you like buy
your mattress or something. Yeah. So
right, you want a leather jacket, you want to just save. There wasn't nothing about investment, and we're at a point where we have those opportunities to invest now, but younger generations are money savvy. They're into that. But sometimes social skills are not too good.
Yeah.
They are not too good.
I say my
accent.
They're definitely like, oh, I get you. They're definitely lacking in some social skills. But yeah, no, like you said, they are very, very into invest. Like a lot of the young guys that I work with, they're 20, 22, 23. They're into buying. They're into investments and all that. And I'm like, damn, I wish I was their age. And at their age, I knew what the hell to do.
Right.
And they're very smart. I go out and ask them questions all the time. Like, yo, listen, how do you do an NFT? How you do this? How you do that? And they're like, oh, you do this, do this, do this. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, they're very tech savvy.
They're very tech savvy. So if you ever want to know how to do something technology, just find some young kid to pick their brain and they'll be able to educate you on stuff like that. But when it comes to like cryptocurrency and stuff like that, I finally just got the knack of understanding what it means, investing in it, what website to do research. NFTs, I still don't know how to connect this thing to buy one. No idea, still can't figure it out. And I keep kicking myself. I'm like, gosh, how do I figure this thing out? I think I'm going to give up at some point. So
I know, when I have a question like that, I YouTube it.
I did YouTube.
like when I was questioning how I'm gonna do what software I needed to edit my podcast or what cameras were good, I was like, okay, YouTube, and then they would pop a bunch of videos would pop up. I would watch some, and if the host didn't really didn't get my attention, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna learn anything from this person. And I would go to the next one, and then when I would find someone that kind of broke it down to the point where I understood it, I'm like, all right, this is the person I'm going to be learning from. But it's a process. It's like like I said, in these couple of years, I've added so many different titles. I add editor of podcasting, editor, video editing, producer, executive producer, business owner, author, all these different things now. And I don't know. It's not like, again, this is a path I didn't expect to be on, but now that I'm on it, I'm not gonna stop.
Yeah, keep going.
I definitely got to keep going. I'm having too much fun. This is too much fun for me, and I'm learning. So it's always a pleasure to be able to sit down and pick someone's brain, or it's crazy because you don't realize just how much in common you have with certain people. Like, they can be from different walks of life. Like me and you, we're from the hood. We grew up similar. I've interviewed people from Midwest and stuff like that, and they were raised differently, but the core beliefs were similar. A lot of the core beliefs were similar. A lot of the things that we had in common. Like, I interviewed a lady. She's an actress, and growing up. She listened to Scarface and the Ghetto Boys, and I would have never thought, because this is a older white lady. I would have never thought she was listening to Scarface. But she rapped the song for me and everything. She knew it. I'm like, okay, yeah. You'd be amazed at some of the things you have in common with people.
Yeah. It's there's a lot going on out there, man. So it's just, look, keep doing what you're doing. I'm so happy for you.
I'm
really
happy
am.
for you. I see what you. I always see your posts. I always, especially when you won the pageant, I was like so happy for you. And then I seen that you passed the crown on someone else, and
Yeah.
that person is doing well as well. So it's you're doing big things, and I see you always posting about you're writing. You're writing for someone else now. You just recently put something out.
No, I'm not writing for someone else. I've been getting published.
Okay, so you
I've
got
been getting
published somewhere.
Yeah, people have been writing articles about me, but
So that's what it was. It was someone wrote an article about you. I thought you had
yeah,
written an article, but it was an
yeah,
article about you.
yeah, and it's kind of weird because I'm always usually the one writing articles. Now it's the other way around, but it's a blessing too, because everything that I include into my answers whenever someone submits, questions for me to answer, is I try to include like other people within it that's helped me along the way, or what's my purpose. And it's always about giving back. It's always about supporting other people. And it's never about, what I get out of it, like in money wise. It's more of like the money will always come one way or another, but it's my passion is to always help other people and make sure they feel supported and give them a platform to be successful. And so I still have my own journey, of being successful in what I'm doing. But if I could bring anybody along the way, I'm always like, I'd be happy to. That's just me. That's always been me. So coming from Brooklyn, ending up in Jersey, and not a lot of people know about my past, about my Brooklyn background, being in Jersey. People will be surprised, but I'm always a New Yorker at heart, and I always will.
Listen, you came from one of the rough. Listen, she came from one of the roughest parts of Brooklyn. It's not East New York at the time where we were growing up was not the greatest neighborhood to grow up in. Well, you was in Starrett, but at least for me, it was crazy.
Yeah, and stupid me always used to go into East New York because that's where my friends lived. I always put myself in East New York or Crown Heights, or where else is there? Bed-Stuy. Oh my goodness. Back then, those are the places you never want to go into.
No.
I always had friends from those neighborhoods. What am I always going to do? Like, not hang out with them?
Absolutely.
You feel it.
I get you. Yeah, believe me, I used to travel all over Brooklyn to go see friends. So it was great growing up in the city. Honestly, I didn't really realize that. Like, I didn't even think about, like, how some people do, like, oh, we're poor. It wasn't that wasn't something in my mentality because we always had a roof over our heads. We had food. We might have not been wearing brand name and stuff like that, but that's not how we were raised. It
Right.
was more because especially us, we coming from Hispanic household where it's kind of different from is kind of different from other households and stuff like that. We're very family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
We're we take care of each other, and I didn't realize certain things until I got older. When you're a kid, you don't think about those things. You just think about hanging out with your friends and having a good time. And
Exactly. That's where the values are different, like we were, if you wanted a pair of Jordans, let's say, then when you're able to get your card to work, your working card, I think that's what it was called, the working card back then you get yourself a job. And after school, you go to the mall and you work at a sneaker store. And that's what I did. Like, I wanted certain things that I knew my parents couldn't provide. And it was no fault to themselves. It's because they both worked, they had 4 kids, and they had a family to raise. And I wanted Jordans, whatever the case may be. So I worked at Athlete's Foot in Kings Plaza Mall. So after school, I would get on that bus, take my butt all the way to Kings Plaza Mall, work a few hours, get on the bus, get on another bus to get back home and be home by 10 o'clock at night and do my homework. But those were the values. Like, if you wanted something, you work for it. And if I wanted fancy sneakers or whatever clothing, I had to work for it, But when it comes to friendships back then, all we cared about whether you were a cool person to hang out with. We didn't care about you had a pair of Jordans. If you had a pair of Jordans, we'd be like, those are dope. Where'd you get those from? Can you hook me up? That's what it was about.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was.
I can't tell you how many people came to me and was like, could you hook me up? But all the Jordans, because my feet were so small, and
it was so inexpensive. Yes, yes,
like $40. So I had all the Jordans. I regret throwing them out. But anyways, I digress with that too. I could slap myself. I should have kept all of them. But those were the values. Like, you just wanted to have friends. If they were cool, you hung out with them. It wasn't about, what you wore. If you wore a certain brand, then, you were like all fancy, we rag on you. But if you're a cool person, that's all that mattered. And, it's a different mindset for sure. But I think that not having a lot growing up, it's what has made me appreciate the little things as an adult, and being able to see that, I still see adults not having a lot, especially now in this environment where people, they lost their job or they're having a hard time with illness and they can't provide for their families. So if I could do something to help them, I'm like there, 100% there. Or if I could, like in the pageant world, we're all about giving back to community. So if the women that we've crowned can help their community in any way, then I will support them and what they're trying to do. So it's, because this is all material things, at the end of the day, you could drive the fancy car, have the fancy, earrings and clothing and stuff. That stuff don't matter. That stuff does not matter.
It's crazy. It's crazy because us, especially minorities, it's keeping up with the Joneses. But if you really know, like Warren Buffett doesn't spend thousands of dollars on suits.
Right. He doesn't.
He doesn't. He has a lady that makes his suits. She's been making his suits forever. And he has a simple suit. He doesn't have Armani. He doesn't believe in that. He wears what makes him comfortable. And that's with a lot of people. Mark Cuban, he's a billionaire, walks around in t-shirts and jeans.
Yeah, because they have nothing to prove. Like with Warren Buffett, it's funny you say that because I find him to be an extremely interesting person. Social skills with him is a little bit, off because that's just his personality. But I watched a documentary about him. Every morning he will get up, get ready, his job was like 5 miles away, his office from his house that he's lived in pretty much all his adult life. he would get in a car, go through the McDonald's drive-thru and get an Egg McMuffin. That was his breakfast every morning. Go to the office, and it's a small office, and then read his newspaper, watch the news, do his work. That was it. He wasn't going out ordering fancy breakfasts or having his assistant fetch him breakfast. Like, he treated people like human beings, and he valued the little things in life that made him happy. And he has so much money. And then when his wife passed away, she was very much into giving back to her community. He donated a lot of money to different charities in her honor, because to him was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to buy an airplane, or am I going to do this and waste money on that? I might as well give it to people that really need it in honor of my wife, who was all about that. So it's just, it's interesting how, sometimes you just got to stop keeping up with the Joneses. It's nice to have things. You want to buy yourself a nice Gucci belt or some shoes, a purse, a designer handbag. It makes you feel good. That's your prerogative. It's all good, but when you think about, putting things in perspective of like what's important and what your mission is, how do you want people to know your story when you pass away? What have you done?
Yeah. What have you given back? Yeah.
What have you given back? And if you decide not to give back, there's nothing wrong with that either. But if you're a type of person who wants to give back, think about what are you doing with your life and what you want your story to be. And, everybody has their own journey, and just own it. Just own it. Own your own journey. So I said a lot.
All right, so this has been great. I love talking to you. We definitely got to keep in touch more. But now is about the time now's the time where you let people know where they can find you at, like website, whatever.
Yeah. So people can find me on Instagram under ILSYJHOO, Ilsy Hoo, or my website is New Jersey, which is spelled out New Jersey, AmericaPageant.com. And you can find information about the pageant system, a short bio about me. The email address is there too. So if anybody's interested in, anybody who has a nonprofit organization that they need support with, definitely reach out to me, because we're always adding nonprofit organizations that we collaborate with. Anybody interested in competing in a pageant or wants to know about the pageant, definitely reach out to me. Or anyone who just wants to chat about entrepreneurship. I'm all ears. My door is always open. I'm more than willing to share anything that I've been through and navigated through to be where I am today. So those are the two places to reach out to me.
Awesome. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
When you said you wanted to be, I was like, okay, fine. This is cool.
Of course. This is fun, man.
Listen, we've known each other too long, so I definitely found, when you said you wanted to be on, I was like, oh, hell yeah. I actually have someone else from Shore coming on next week. Was it next week or a couple of weeks? So I'm excited for that as well. But hold on a second. When we're done, we're gonna chat a little bit offline.
Okay.
But now it's time for me to give my shout outs. And actually, I gotta plug my nephew's book. So definitely get his book. It's The Plush Life from Prison to Peace by Anthony J. Gonzalez. Nice. He's on Amazon, iBooks. So definitely give him a check out the book. And now it's time for shout outs. Big shout out to my Real WIZE fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. Love you, baby, and appreciate you. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. You know your boy WIZE does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at @WIZE_B_blunt, Instagram at @WIZE_B_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/WIZE76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.